Today I'm going to be showing off basically gaming setups. Obviously, I've done setup videos in the past. I think I did the last one was about 2024, I believe, something like that. And I think I've updated some of the tags and some of the titles on some of those videos. But I thought I'd just show like an update of my setup. Now it's an absolute mess at the moment. I've just got a new broadband router from Virgin Media. I think it's is it 1,000 MB? I think it's the download or the speed of it as such. No idea of the actual download, well, upload speed, etc. But it's pretty quick, and it's a good deal for like the first year is £25.99, and then it goes up to £29 or £30, and then after that I'll have to be like a renegotiation because I think they want some like it's between 72 and 84.99 after that, so I will be renegotiating. But for the next 2 years, I'm good when it comes to internet speeds, considering that oddly Sky that I was with before, the fastest they would offer would be 70 meg, and obviously Virgin Media's on fibre. But I did have some issues with the Virgin Media. Basically, I had it installed Wednesday by the engineer, and by Wednesday evening it wasn't working, so I rang them up and they said there's an intermittent issue in your area. I was like, oh, fantastic. So then that was eventually sorted out. Then I had internet Thursday, and then after that, come Friday, it was just disconnecting again all the time. Disconnect, reconnect, and it was quite frankly quite frustrating, and it became very very annoying. But luckily, what is going on with my computer? Yeah, the guy came Saturday, which I was quite surprised on the Saturday. An engineer would come out, but they did come out, replace the router, and so far so good. I haven't had any issues with it. So I'm quite glad of that, considering the issues I was having. But yeah, the downloads is pretty impressive. I think I did 86 gig in about 22 to 24 minutes or something, which is reasonably good. But I'll just go through the setup. It's a mess right now, absolute mess. In fact, as you will see in a second, I've got to do cable routing tomorrow because obviously the Virgin Media broadband router. I've got new Ethernet cables to all the systems and stuff, and new Ethernet actual cables themselves. But basically, it's a mess. As you can see, an absolute diabolical mess. Obviously, under there is where I'd have all my cables routed. Obviously, I did, and then obviously I've changed it, and I haven't modified it and made it any better. But obviously, that's the switcher box. So basically, I plug any console in. So right now I've got the Series X on. This was the one I was on and on about selling, just because, as you can see, it's a horrendous mess down here at the moment. I've got to take all these cables and reroute them all under there, straight under the monitor and to the actual switcher device, which is it's a pretty decent switcher box. Sometimes I have to plug the cables in again for it to acknowledge the change, so it's a bit of a weird one. I don't fully understand why, but that's a 4K 8K 60 or a 4K 5-in-1 out port, which obviously I run from there into the TV in the back there, which is obviously on an arm. Pretty decent TV, QLED, not OLED unfortunately, but pretty vibrant. I think it's like 600 nits, and it was about 600, well, about 2-3 years ago, 600 quid, just over that, something like that. So pretty good piece of kit. But right now, as you can see, Series X is hooked up. I've got it running through OBS at the moment. Now the weird thing about this is that this is obviously OBS, and what does it keep doing that for? Right. Also Elgato. Now Elgato, the hardware in there, if you can actually see it, I doubt you can. Hey, it's a good thing about having a tripod. Oops. As you can see, that's the capture device. Obviously, I've got the cables in there. God, I'm not good at this, am I? As you can see, they're hooked in. So there's one in. So you'd have it basically go from the console into the Elgato device, and then there's an out from the Elgato device, which then runs to the splitter, and that's kind of how it works. And it's most systems it works really really well. Obviously with PlayStation 3, I have to use a splitter, which is a bit of a pain in the ass at times, if I'm honest. But as you can see, like it's pretty seamless, you know, one-to-one. Or pretty one-to-one, not a lot of latency in it as such. But obviously, like, as I said, like, the Elgato software is good in terms of the hardware is. The software, should I say, is a bit iffy. Like, why does it keep going full screen? It runs and it works, but it's very, very temperamental. So sometimes, if I'm recording, say, a really old system, like, say, PlayStation 2, GameCube, and some other shit I'm still sorting out over there, and my random peanut butter bucket when I get snacky. But the point is, like, literally, Elgato software, it'll capture normal things, no problem whatsoever. But but if you capture like a weird resolution, like for instance, if you use the OSSC, which I use sometimes, it will not play ball with that on certain resolution. If you change to a really weird resolution, OBS most of the time doesn't give a damn. It will capture any resolution. But the Elgato software, on the other hand, is very, 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 very finicky. It doesn't like odd resolutions, and it will literally just be weird. It just won't capture that resolution. It will just literally just give you like no picture whatsoever, or you'll give you like a distorted wavy line picture, and that's basically it essentially. And as you can see, we are pretty much RE4. This is original RE4. Both games are honestly fantastic. Although I must admit, going back playing this after playing the remake, this game it still holds up, but it is quite rough now compared to the remake. I think, to be honest, the biggest issue really is just the fact that it's very much it's just the camera controls can be quite finicky on this. But other than that, like, I hate that. I really don't like that at all now, the way this runs. Or the way the camera, the angles, the camera angle. The fact that you have to stop to shoot and stuff like that, which is, you know, as you can see, it's pretty seamless. And obviously this is the HD version, so some of the textures are a bit better than the original RE4 version I've got on GameCube and on PlayStation 3. But so basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing this setup video, so I'll probably go through and I'll show the PlayStation 3 capturing, the switches, and then I'll do the older stuff like the N64, the Mega Drive, PS1. And I might just do some short videos like that, just demonstrating how you capture this stuff. And there are loads of videos on YouTube about this, but I feel like it might be something to give people the heads up about how to do some of this stuff. Because as I said, like, PlayStation 3 is probably the most complicated system to capture from. The most of the rest are reasonably easy to capture from. 360 is not a problem. I might have just bagged myself a second-hand original Xbox for about 100 quid. So I'm quite excited because if that's got some original games, I can actually try it. It's ironic though because I sold all those original Xbox games. But it'd be kind of neat to try because I've got the odd one left over and stuff. But the real systems I really want to get my hands on are Sega Saturn and Dreamcast. To be honest, there's just something about those systems. Obviously, more Mega Drive stuff, and it's just too much stuff, too much of a want. You know what I mean? So, and obviously, I'm still finishing my Pokemon collection off, and I've only got there's a couple of Sonic games still in the collection to get. Like, I'd like to get like a decent version of a better version of Sonic and Knuckles because the version I've got is pretty tatty, to be honest. More so the manual on the manual on the game are good, but the box is terrible. So the Xbox is working. Power on the pad. there's anything in the actual drive. This is the Slim. There was also a Super Slim after this, and then obviously your base original Xbox 360s, which some of them had the old Red Ring of Death. I never had it, luckily. I think mine was susceptible to it. I had a Xbox 360 Pro, which I believe was susceptible to that issue, as you can see. So with the 360, you don't need to bugger about. It's just straight HDMI. Straight into, and I know it's an absolute mess, straight into the back of the PC, into the Elgato device, then the one out from the Elgato device goes into the switcher, and then voila. As I said, I'm still working on rectifying and tidying all that up. I've got to do cable tying. Just too many things going on at the moment. But yes, that's Xbox 360 recording. I don't know if there's a lot you can really do on this. No! Just about dropped the control on the floor. Obviously, oh, there's my game score. What's actually on my games list on here? As you can see, it's super duper fast. This is back before the days of SSDs. In fact, it's not even loading. I think a lot of these are demos. I don't remember buying Dirt Showdown. Crysis I bought. Gears of War 3 I've got digital on here, so I can probably play that digitally on Series X. Interesting Forza. It's just nice to know the 360 still kicks up, still works and stuff. Oh, it's the Sega Vintage Collection. Oh, nice. It's really hard to play when you've got a tripod in your hand. Okay, we'll come off this, but it's nice to know the 360 still functions. And then we go home, which is not as seamlessly quick as Series X. Anything with an SSD, without an SSD, sorry, takes so much longer. I just find it weird that the actual pictures aren't loading, which is kind of weird. Kit Kat, that's my cat. Say hello, Kit Kat. That's a game I don't think has ever been ported as either. Simpsons Arcade. I think that was delisted many, many years ago. So PlayStation 3 is a little bit more complicated because of the HDCP that you cannot turn off on a PS3. Very, very backwards thinking, although I suppose from Sony's point it's a way of stopping copy infringement and stuff. So obviously this one again, excuse the mess, HDMI in from the PS3, runs to this particular split. Now you have to get certain type of splitter, and this one works. There are certain splitters that do not work with PlayStation 3. So please keep that in mind when you try and record from it, because you will spend endless hours bugging about with it. And obviously it splits off, so one would go from there into the capture device at the back. I know it's horrendous, I'm working with it. And then you have one that splits from there into my splitter, which then leads up to the TV. But that's basically how they capture PlayStation 3 footage. As you can see, all my games are on there. Games that I don't even recall ever buying, so maybe they were part of like a PlayStation PS3 Plus maybe at some point. But the fact that it still runs is good. It still runs the games on that. Demon's Souls, I despised that game. In its defense, I'm not really a big fan of the Souls-like games. I hated that game. It was supposed to be a follow-on to Sonic 3, but it just wasn't. I was looking back, picking that War of the North up on disc. I'm going to give that I might do a video on that one, because that's an interesting one, War in the North, at some point. Could be interesting to play. That's great. that's so much fun. That's just immense amount of fun. It's kind of destruction apocalypse while you're racing. It's really, really good fun. So basically that's PS3. As I said, it's the most complicated one. That's the version I own. And the version I've done a video on is the newer version that's got all the updated graphics and stuff. Which is kind of weird. I'd have thought because I own this version, surely you'd be offered an upgrade to the newer version like you do with sort of the more mainstream games, but apparently not. Okay, so setups, a bit of a mess at the moment. Obviously we have Mega Drive controller with a Sega Master System. So basically we should come up with... Right, so that is working. Okay, this has got it built in to, I think it's, hang on. Okay, so with that we've got a base Master System 1. Now this is modified, so it has a USB-C power connector. I didn't do it, got it off eBay. And as you can see, it's not amazing quality, but it's not terrible at the same time. We're running through the OSSC. Now you can mess with the resolution. In fact, I was running at 60 Hz on that one. Interesting. So basically, you've got your SCART lead that goes in, obviously there, round. Ignore the mess. I'm still working on stuff. And it goes into there. So obviously with the OSSC, it's a really handy device for SCART input. You've got your component. You've even got, I believe it's a VGA as well. And it's a really good thing. The only kicker is it won't capture N64 footage. Anything with composite, it won't capture, which kind of sucks. So that's the Master System 1. You won't be able to capture with OSSC for Master System 2 because it only outputs RF. I imagine there might be a converter for RF, but I can't imagine, given how poor the quality with RF generally is, I wouldn't recommend it. But that's Master System. I've shown off Series X. I will show off PS5. I'll just show off different recording setups. And as you can see, the quality is not amazing, but I've set the TV to 4:3 aspect ratio as well, so it looks a little bit better. Also, my Virgin Media is once again offline again. This will be the third time in the space of a week I've had it installed. I was getting, I think it was 1,000 megabytes, and now I'm getting bugger all. So wonderful. I've got another engineer coming on Friday, so I haven't been that impressed. The speeds have been impressive, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the reliability, it's been appalling. So we'll see where that leads. Okay, so next up we are showing off the Nintendo GameCube. Got Legend of Zelda in there. Control pad. And that's not quite what I wanted. So we'll go back. Start one. There's quite a few games in the GameCube library that support 60 Hz as well, funnily enough. Might have to check that out at some point. So basically, GameCube is just hooked up via a Prism HDMI adapter that runs straight into the converter box. And that's basically GameCube recording. You can also do SCART, or SCART for European GameCube into the composite. You'd have to use another type of upscaler that will support composite connections. But generally, it's really good. And that's Nintendo GameCube. Love it. Okay, so we've got the Mega Drive running Sonic the Hedgehog 3 with Knuckles. And I've got it running through the OSSC, as you can see. And we're running at 50 Hz. So I've just got a SCART into the back of that. You can use HDMI adapters and things like that, but they're not quite, they don't usually look as good unless you're using some type of upscaler. Anyway, that is Mega Drive.